was terrible.
Welcome back, Hack City. Joe DeLeone, Sean Anderson, two former college football players from the University of Rhode Island. Today, we are going to be talking about the action from week 4 of college football. It ends up being one of those weekends, Sean, where we had a number of crazy outcomes. Not a ton of them, but a number of crazy outcomes that help us redefine who the top teams are in college football. We're going to be talking about Colorado versus Oregon briefly. We're going to be talking about Ole Miss versus Alabama. We're going to be talking about Notre Dame versus Ohio State, and then Clemson versus Florida State to wrap things up, as well as some of our other thoughts from the weekend. Sean, I want to just, by the way, I want to say this before we really dive in and before we do the read. This weekend was weird because we got the craziness that happened with UVA NC State. That was a wild ending to a game. We got the craziness that happened with Florida State Clemson. That goes to overtime. That was really freaking fun to watch. And then the midday slate was just, it was ass. Like, it was Alabama running all over Ole Miss, and it was a really, really sloppy game. And then the UCLA-Utah game, I don't know if you even tried to watch that. That one was like, it was like drying my eyes out watching that thing. That was one of the most disgusting football games.
It was a bit sleepy. It was a little sleepy.
A little sleepy. Utah, good defensive performance, though. Give them credit for that. And then the Colorado-Oregon game, man, just did not live up to the hype. I don't know. That's like a slate of midday games that you take a nap during, and then you get ready for the outcome of the Notre Dame Ohio State game. You did?
I did. The late night prompted the nap, and then because I'm looking at them like, all right, this is a blowout. Utah UCLA has been so like, bleh. I don't need to finish that because they're not going to move one way or another unless a blowout happens.
No.
And then Alabama, Ole Miss. I'm sitting here like, Alabama's in the driver's seat. And if you let Alabama in the driver's seat, and I know we're going to get a little more in depth in these games, they're just going to control the game, and they did. And that is vintage Alabama football. I said, all right, well, a lot of vintage Alabama football is snoozers, so I'm just going to go catch an hour. And I got me up and ready for 7 o'clock where the real games were. So obviously a weekend with very important matchups, but for just true fandom, not great football watching until the evening.
And we did end up finishing the night with just like an insane game, the Notre Dame Ohio State one, which we're going to get to. That is just the epitome of being a Notre Dame fan. A lot of thoughts coming from that one. To have the game in the driver's seat, to do everything that you need to do, grind them out, play a really hard-fought defensive battle, and then just lay an egg on the final 2 plays out of the last 3 where you could have won that football game. Yeah. Again, we're going to get to all that stuff. Before we do, though, Sean, can you just share with our listeners a quick message from BetOnline?
Oh, I'd love to. I had a great little parlay take place on Saturday. I think I had a Utah win. This is a BetOnline special that I created, the Anderson parlay. We were cooking something up at noon. We were just going through the games. Do you like this? No. All right, kick it. Do you like it? Ended up with 5 teams. Got a nice little UNC action. Got the over in the Wazoo Oregon State game. That was awesome. And then I had Ohio State covering, and that was nice. I had Ohio State winning, and that was good. And they did. So I had a good Saturday parlay. It's good. I'm a straight bet man. That's what I am. And with BetOnline, you could do either. That's great. But it's nice to mix in. If you feel a little frisky, go ahead. Give yourself some better odds.
Yeah, F your parlay, by the way. F your parlay because you put Ohio State in there.
Well, I asked you for some genuine advice. You told me to stick it out, and I did. And that's because knew one team. You knew Ohio State was going to win, so I needed.
You were pissing down your leg, and you're like, "Oh no, Notre Dame's going to ruin my parlay. I can't let Joe get this one." And then you texted it to me, and you knew the reaction that you were going to get from me. This is.
I wasn't looking for it. I was not looking for a reaction. I have a lot of positive things to say about Notre Dame in a terrible loss. I have a lot of things. They lost horribly, and I have a lot of positive things to say about them. But this is a read, Joe. So if I can finish that, that'd be great.
Yes,
Thanks.
Go ahead.
Head to the website today, or use your mobile device to set up to get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus in your first deposit. Jeez, I can feel you looking at me angrily, so I'm stepping over words. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Oh, man. Okay, want to start things off with Colorado versus Oregon, 42-6. Wow, this was a game where if you watch the first half, it really felt like Dan Lanning was going to try and put 60 on the board. He was pissed. If you saw the pre-game conversation that he had with his team, that speech, man, he was pissed. That's a way to really fire up your team at home against a team that's gotten more attention than you. And like, justifiably, I would feel disenfranchised as a good team coming into the year that has Pac-12 title aspirations, and you're coming into the game and your opponent is the one who's being talked about more than you are. And I think that that's the approach for getting your team ready for a game like this. My thoughts on this game, though, Sean, like, this needs to really be heavily established here. We need to stop overreacting on both sides. This is a really perfect example of why we can't get too hyped up on a team when things are going well and when it's a fun story. And now that they lost, we can't sit here. Nice jug, by the way. We can't sit here and pick them apart and try to dump on them after they played a bad game. Football is a week-to-week sport. I tweeted this out and I stand by this statement. And it was my thoughts after they beat TCU and my thoughts at the beginning of the year. Colorado has the skill position players at important positions to finish the year with 7, 8 wins, maybe 9 if they pull off an upset, which is a massive accomplishment. It is proof that DeLeone Sanders is an amazing coach. He's a great recruiter, that he turned around one of the worst rosters in college football into a position where they now can compete for a bowl game. That is a true testament to who he is as a coach. But you can't immediately turn around an offensive and a defensive line in one offseason. And that showed up in this game because Shedeur Sanders had no time to operate. And that, look, I can't even, we could really sit here and dissect this game. I don't want to really dive deep because it's just a bad game that Colorado played. They lost because they couldn't protect. And that Colorado defensive line got ran all over by Bucky Irving and those Oregon running backs. It is just a trenches game that they weren't built to win. They just weren't.
Yeah, a couple things that I had from it. Attention dollars are different than bowl game and college football playoff dollars. They are. So if you feel like you have a potential of earning some CFP money or some CFP dollars and you see someone else getting the attention dollars, then you, with your ego, Dan Lanning, you're going to be a little bit pissed. And it's a game full of egos, and casuals don't understand ball, and they don't understand football, and they don't understand ego and pride, and they don't understand what it means to go out there and get your teeth punched in or to come out and get disrespected early. A lot of people are reading too much into the midfield logo stuff. It's a thing in football. It's been happening forever. Team comes out, steps on the logo, fires at the other team, they get beat. It happens all the time. But where Colorado really lost, they weren't stronger than Oregon. The Colorado's team was weaker than Oregon on every tackle that Colorado tried to make. Oregon players were falling forward, and it was not just, great open field tackle one-on-one. It was 3 Colorado defenders having to take down 1 Oregon running back, 1 Oregon wide receiver. Just crippling yardage got after the catch. After contact is what I saw. And you can't have that. You need, if you're going to be a thumping, hard-hitting, head-it gang defense, which is what I want, what people want Colorado to be, which is something that they can be, you need to get stronger. You need to stalemate the opponent and not, I made the tackle and then he fell forward for 3 more yards, or he was able to stretch out for a first down while I was hanging onto his legs. Colorado players were getting, it's football, but dragged. They were getting dragged by a jersey at times in that first half. And it was a different ball game from both sides. Oregon won. We knew Oregon was going to win. Who cares? It's week 4. Colorado has already achieved a massive achievement. I think you and I both said if they got 3 wins this year, it would be an achievement for the program.
Yes.
They're going to get more than that. They're going to get more than that, but they're so exciting and they're so different that people who just jump on the bandwagon think that means they're going to win the championship or they're as good as Georgia when they're not. Excitement doesn't mean talent. There's talent that makes it exciting, but when one supersedes the other,
yes,
this is what happens. Still in on Colorado, still in on the story, still in on Coach Prime. How could you not be? It's still the bet. His post game is we're taping CFE tonight. His post game, how do I not put that? If that is topic 1A, B, and C, how he handled it, what he did, all of it. It has to be.
Look, I think that's where like the stupidity of all this is. And this is what was so frustrating in the first 3 weeks of the season is that because we chose to be realistic, we were automatically haters. And this is what I was talking about at the beginning of the season or at the beginning of the show rather, where we need to stop with Colorado jumping to both sides of the extreme. You can acknowledge a team is fun to watch and that they're a good quality team without jumping to the conclusion that they're going to win a national championship. Again, I'm just asking these people that are so bought in. Like there's so many people that have never watched college football that are really bought in on Colorado and that we're bought in on Colorado. I'm just asking you to learn football. Please learn football and what it takes. Don't jump in the comments and say that we don't know football and we've never played it down in our life.
Oh, geez, we didn't even.
4 years. I don't even want to waste your time with that because I get one of those every single week. It doesn't bother me anymore. I really don't care when people say they crap. It's stupid.
I care about that because I look like a football player. You should care about that because you played more college games than me, and that's true by a wide margin. So I'll defer. But I'm sitting here. It's the first question I get asked every time when I meet a stranger. Did you play football? Hey, moron. Hey, jackass. See me in real life. That's the question you'll have for me. And you're commenting someone that never put on pads? What?
By the way, I have to say that was the first thing that popped in my head, and I almost texted it to you. And I know I said we didn't want to talk about this, but I'm gonna. I found it so hilarious that now you know what I deal with because like it happens to me out in public all the time. There's been it doesn't happen a lot, and it happens all the time on my other shows that I do where I make a comment and people are like, this dude's never played football before in his life, and I was a long snapper. You know, I'm not the biggest guy. I've lost 70 pounds from when I played, and I look completely different. Like, I obviously don't look like a football player. I was a freaking long snapper. But the hilarity of it is that even when you look at you in the frame of the box, like you on screen in the frame of the box, that you're as freaking big as you are, that someone wouldn't think, hey, maybe he looks like an offensive lineman. So I'm really glad that you now understand what I deal with.
It's just baffling. And I don't. Joe is a football player. Joe has two unsportsmanlike conducts in college games.
I don't know if that's an accomplishment.
It means you put on some pads. A lot of guys, if they were just put on pads and put into a college game, they would get laid out. They would be scared. They wouldn't know what to do. You at least had the wherewithal to go and hit somebody after the whistle or yell at a ref.
You know what? I take
there you go. There you go.
I got my ass kicked on 2 plays. The worst 2 ass kickings the only 2 ass kickings I've gotten on a football field were those 2 instances. And I'm so hot. I mean, in a game, I've never.
What happened to? Didn't you play with Rashawn Gary? Didn't he?
That was when I was. That was when I was
talking about on a football field. I mean, that's on a football field.
All right, we're gonna move on. My main point here is actually we already know what my main point is. Please just be a little more realistic. Let's just calm down. Let's have fun watching Colorado. They're gonna have a lot of highlight plays. They're gonna probably finish with a strong record, and they're gonna go to a bowl game. And next year is gonna be really exciting because I want to see what they do in the portal. But I'm gonna say this right now: the Colorado fans who try to come for anyone who had realistic expectations, don't just bow out now. Like, you better root for Colorado the whole season. Yeah. I don't want to see any of that shit. Weak.
Here's my final thing. We know ball and you don't. That's what it is. So that's why we have the show.
Sounds so hubristic.
Do you want to? You start your show, and I'll determine if you know ball or not.
Yeah,
that's my offer.
Speaking of knowing ball, we have this game played out not how I was hoping.
Exactly how I was expecting it.
You predicted it, which I hate. 24-10, Alabama beats Ole Miss. I have a couple takeaways from this. Look, Jalen Milroe, first of all, clearly the guy. Whatever was going on in the locker room politics,
the sabotage.
Yeah, whatever that was, I think that my theory stands that they were trying to mind game Lane Kiffin, and it worked. It kind of worked. I think that Alabama has one of the most chaotically hilarious offenses in college football because it's a really good run game. And the only thing that they can do in the pass game is just chuck it deep. It's just, let's just throw a go route. We're going to run the same go route up
like
the
you're
middle
playing Madden
every single time. And sometimes it's going to get picked off.
Yeah.
Or it's not even going to be anywhere near the receiver.
Sure.
It is one of the most hilariously chaotic games to watch, or teams to watch. And I will say this, I said this on Ruffino and Joe a little bit more. I think that we learned that you have to lean into Jalen Milroe's athleticism. The guy is a really good runner. Keep doing the read option stuff. Keep getting him involved. And I don't think he finished with like a crazy stat line, but when the defense is so focused on stopping him, it opens things up for all of those other Alabama running backs. I give Tommy Rees credit. They called a good game, and Ole Miss completely pooped their pants. That's what happened.
I'll tell you what happened, Joe. It was big brother reminding little brother, hey, this is this is who I am. This is you, Lane. You came back from college with some college muscles, but I'm a grown ass man. I'm Nick Saban. Look at the team that I recruited. You were talking all that talk in the week leading up, and I commend you for it. You're confident. I think you're good at your job. I think you win a lot of games. When you come in this house, I'm getting the big piece of chicken. That's how it's going. And that's how it went. We're going to run the ball. You're not going to be able to stop us running the ball. Our offense is going to play incredibly mean. Oh, my God, were they finishing blocks? Alabama's offensive line was. Goodness, every time the Alabama running backs got tackled, I saw feet moving. I saw somebody throwing an Ole Miss player to the ground. It was a spectacular effort up front. Spectacular. And if that was Saban getting his guys going, good for him. But that looked like some big brother stuff to me. It said, you're still Ole Miss. All this noise about the dynasty ending, still possible. There's still going to be noise, as there should be. But the noise about Ole Miss being the ones to come out of the SEC, that's laughable. And that was laughable to Alabama all week, and they proved it. It was laughable because everybody was grasping. I was grasping. Joe was grasping. We all were grasping because it's different and new, and we wanted to see what Alabama would do if they weren't in the driver's seat. But they said, move over. I'm taking the wheel. And they did, and they held on to it, and it didn't matter if Jalen Milroe threw a red zone interception, which he did. They just sucked it up and played ball.
I'm really pissed at myself that I got duped by Lane Kiffin. I'm really pissed because
you're not the first.
The Lane Kiffin in my head is not the one who shows up.
Yeah,
God, dude.
That's the Raiders.
Yeah. The one that shows up is not the one that we all think is him because, dude, like the play calling was it was disgustingly conservative. Like every second down was a jet sweep that got blown up at the line of scrimmage. There were so many screen passes that just didn't connect. And then every time that they tried to drop back, there was really good coverage. These receivers weren't separating, which I thought that they had some guys. Apparently they don't. They don't have anybody that can create separation. Credit to Alabama's secondary. Terry and Arnold, Kool-Aid McKinstry played their asses off. Lockdown quality defense. But what the hell was this? Like it was scared play calling. It was scared play calling in a game where you had them. You know, it was close in the beginning of the game. If you got aggressive and you converted a little bit more aggressively, you might have been able to come out and win this game. But instead, you got grinded out. That offensive line for Ole Miss is bad. They got chewed up by Ole Miss's defensive front. Dallas Turner just had himself a day the way that he played. I'm out on Ole Miss. Like I don't do a top 25 for college football. I only do a top 10. I'm not ranking them. I wouldn't rank them. That's not a good Ole Miss team. I was duped. And I'm pissed about it.
Is the screen pass becoming the new read option? Because I'm seeing so many screen passes, and it just seems like a default. And it says, oh, look at this guy. We got a fast player. Let's just have our quarterback throw it as fast as he can out to him out wide. I hate the screen pass. I hate screen passes. I like a well-constructed running back screen. I like but every game I'm watching, NFL or college, screens all over the place. I saw a screen today within the 5. Fire yourself. Leave the building. Holy hell. You can't tell me that screen percentages haven't been up. And it's an analytics dork that's telling you that it works. It doesn't. If a screen pass is one of your top 5 instrumental plays going into the weekend,
Oh,
you should lose.
You're cooked. I mean, the Chicago Bears are a really good example, which, by the way, they're down 31-0 right now at halftime.
Are they really? Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs are going for that record, the amount of points that the Dolphins just put up today. That the Bears are a really good example of that. If you have to rely on screens, you're cooked. And if you think that screens are going to win you a football game, you're cooked.
You're a loser, and you'll always be a loser.
Screens are a change of pace type play. It's like calling a draw when you've been airing it out all game. You've been having trouble running the football, and you say, we're going to hit them with a draw here. It's 2nd and long. We just took a sack. Draw play. They're over pursuing. We're going to hit you with the draw play. You're being over aggressive, and we've been getting the ball out quick. Guess what? We're going to throw a screen to the sideline, or we're going to throw an out.
Our quarterback needs to settle down. Stop being a coward.
But when you run a goddamn jet sweep and a goddamn screen every other play, you're not going to win. You're cooked, especially against a good defense. I don't know. This whole thing is just, it's frustrating.
Yeah, I hate screens. I still am a Lane Kiffin guy. I just can't get enough of him. It's toxic, and I love it, but holy hell. He's a little brother. He just will be. Maybe next year. Maybe next year, pal.
Notre Dame versus Ohio State, dude. This is 17-14. I actually, despite the outcome, I don't feel terrible about this, because you know what? I have been weathered and accustomed to outcomes like this for Notre Dame. You know, I've just gotten used to it. There were the guys at the bar that we were with. One of the guys was a Notre Dame alum, and he kept saying the whole time in that final drive, I'm just waiting for something to happen. It happens every time. And I quietly just found myself agreeing with him. I found myself agreeing that no matter how good of a game you play, it is always going to come. Something is always going to come back to bite you in the ass. There's always going to be a mistake in a critical spot. I will say, however, I do feel pretty good about this loss. Separate from the frustration, I do feel pretty good about it, because they showed up defensively. They locked down Marvin Harrison Jr. Benjamin Morrison proved to us that he's one of the best corners in the country. Like there was like, let's see how they do against Emeka Egbuka and Marvin Harrison Jr. He kept him in check. And I know he got hurt in the second half, but his first half total, he didn't do anything. He didn't do dick. They played such a good game on the back end. They could have gotten after Kyle McCord a little bit better. And had they kept that long rushing touchdown in check, I think it could have been a different game. The only thing that hindered them offensively, like, I'm not even upset, Sean, with the way that they played offensively. Like, that was a really good defensive front that said, hey, we're not going to let you run between the guards. And they still found creative ways to get other guys that weren't Audric Estime involved. Like, I think we're starting to see that they have the skill position players. And for the opponent that they faced, it's not a bad offensive production day. But like, we can't make those mistakes. You can't, after making a fourth down stop on a stupid play call, get blown up in the backfield trying to get cute. Just run the ball, run as much time off the clock. Don't call a screen play. Run the clock down. Didn't do that. Yeah. Allowed a 3rd and 19 to get converted, and then you have 10 guys on the field. That shit can't happen. Notre Dame lost. I don't think that's so much. Shut up. This might piss people off, but Notre Dame lost more than Ohio State won. Get upset if you want. I don't care. That's how I'm viewing.
I think Ryan Day. I think you're saying that because Ryan Day lost his mind like an idiot and made the whole loss
poor
about
old
himself.
Guy. Loser.
I think somebody tweeted that he's really just yelling at the Ohio State fans, which he was. He definitely was. But he's also yelling because Notre Dame is a CFP talented team. They are a team that is talented enough, built well enough to be in the college football playoff. Sorry. I was talking about Notre Dame. I get a little belchy. It's like,
You're a dick.
That's just what I do. It just happens. I don't know what to do. But Notre Dame's offensive line, so impressive. Stand up for yourself. Get your applause. Ohio State's defense is filled with dudes. It is. It's Ohio State. And Joe Alt is Joe Thomas. If you want a pass protector in the NFL, draft Joe Alt. I couldn't stop watching him, Joe. I don't care about Sam Hartman. I don't care about your wide receivers. I watched Joe Alt all night. You know what I saw? Perfection. Oh, he's talented. Wow, what a just impressive left tackle. Impressive. Gosh. Yeah, that's a my guy. I heard somebody tell me last night, Marvin Harrison Jr. is a top 3 pick. Ohio State fan, shocker. I said, okay, you can think that. He's very talented. He's fast. He's got good hands. He runs good routes.
Yeah.
I am taking Joe Alt over Marvin Harrison Jr. in the draft. If you're telling me Marvin Harrison Jr. is number 3, I'm telling you Joe Alt is number 2. We can have a decision about Caleb Williams at 1. Whoever else rounds it out. He's one of the best players in college football, if not the best, pound for pound at his position. So and Hartman's a dude. Hartman had some plays on third down where I'm like, wow, that is not a Notre Dame quarterback. That's a guy that they brought in that has some balls that's played at Notre Dame. And that's good. That's what your program needed. Somebody that's actually,
it's not Drew Pine anymore.
It's not Drew Pine. It's not Drew Pine. He's not seeing ghosts. He stayed composed. Play calling hurt them at the end. Some questionable decisions. But that's about as good as a loss can go for Notre Dame. And I'll take the win and I'll take the money. I'm glad Notre Dame lost, and I don't care that Ohio State won. You've ruined the school for me personally, and that's cool. I'm not upset about it. But yeah, I can take joy in that. I knew that you were hurt, but I wasn't texting you. I wasn't blowing you up last night.
I was happy that you weren't, instead of Nick Carty, who's just a total piece of garbage. Haven't heard from him in 3 years. Decided to tag me in a group chat after not hearing him for 3 years, being an Ohio State fan. There's other Notre Dame fans in the chat. Decides to call me out.
I forgot he's an Ohio State fan. He's an Ohio State fan. You almost got to give him a little bit. You almost got to give him a little bit for being. He is an Ohio State fan.
He's got like 100 followers because he's a producer at ESPN. I almost completely ratioed him, and I was like, I'm not gonna do this. Like I'm in a bad mood, and like it is what it is. But like if you're gonna come for my head, don't do it to somebody who's got 10 times more followers than you. I will quote tweet you. I will eviscerate you. If you know me personally, I will come for your fucking head.
I thought Marcus Freeman coached a good game. I thought he coached a good game.
Minus the last play.
I understand. But for that moment, his biggest moment as a coach for that whole game, I thought he deserved a good grade for that coaching job, even though they lost in spectacular fashion, which brought a big smile to my face, knowing that you were stewing in your apartment on your tiny couch, just yelling.
My couch isn't tiny.
You got the smallest couch in the world.
I have to bring this up, and I'm probably going to clip this. So sure. I went to the one Notre Dame bar that's like well known in LA. It's Sonny McLean's, and a lot of Notre Dame fans. The vibes were great. There was one guy there on his own, was not with anybody else, was wearing an Ohio State hat and an Ohio State shirt. Not a peep from him the entire game.
Yeah.
And we all knew he was there. Everybody like at one point was like, what's that guy doing here? My camera's about to die. Wait 1 second.
Sure, clip it.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder how the vibes were high in a Notre Dame bar. Oh, this Guinness is good, isn't it? Oh, this is awesome.
Shut up. Okay, let me finish my
remember that game in 90? Yeah.
Shut up. At one point, though, at the end of the game, when they scored that touchdown, bar is silent. And this asshole stands up, puts his arms in the air, and starts cheering.
Good for him. Good for him.
Who does that? Who
a
shows
winner,
up?
A team who's won.
Are there no Ohio State bars in Los Angeles that you have to show up to a Notre Dame bar?
Why is there a Notre Dame bar?
Nobody hit him. What?
Why is there a Notre Dame bar in Los Angeles? You shouldn't have hit him.
It's a national
winner,
brand,
and he took it.
It's a national brand. There's going to be bars for Notre Dame across the country because it is a national fan base. It's like there being a Dallas Cowboys bar across the country. I mean, there's like a Seahawks bar that I know of that's in Culver City. But that guy is a dick to show up.
He's a legend.
And then to cheer on the last play when you're the only guy. I hope he got a parking ticket. Screw that guy.
That'll
that guy.
teach him.
is the worst guy at any sports bar. Yeah, I just need to know what his thought process was. That I'm going to show up and
him and commend him and give him a handshake. That's
no,
what I want to do.
F him.
This isn't me
F
hating
him.
you. That takes balls because you're going into you're going to get in a fight like that. That walking out your door. That dude walking out his door tonight or last night said, "I'm going to get in a fight with a Notre Dame fan." And that's what my night's
He
gonna
was
be.
not.
So
I'm going to tell you right
him.
now, that guy did not have the build of somebody who I thought was going to win a fight.
Better.
I'm just going to say that.
Better.
It was a late 30s dumpy guy. I
Perfect.
Balding. That guy was not going to survive. I am shocked with how pissed everyone was that no one tried to punch him. I am shocked.
Joe, he minded his manners all game because he was down all game. Then his savior, Kyle McCord, who played the best game of his career, went down the field, marched that Buckeyes team down the field, and he's sitting there, and he knows we got one play left. Oh, we're so close. We got one play left. Oh, what happens? I'm either going to be really happy, really sad. And he wins. His team wins in that fashion, and he's going to expect to take his hat off and shake his hands like he's at the Ryder Cup and we're not playing football. Holy hell, Joe, you got to respect that move. Enemy territory?
No,
yeah. Hell yeah. I'm with
no,
it.
That's pure stupidity. That is.
It is.
You know what? It's the most Ohio State fan
out of my
shit.
face.
It is the most Ohio State fan shit that any Ohio State fan would do because no other fan base would do that. And look, there were
Notre Dame
guys.
would do that. Notre Dame
wouldn't do that. We wouldn't. Yes, I'm not going to an Ohio State bar. I'm not going to Ohio State bar and doing that because I want to sit and watch you with people who are who are rooting for the same team.
That guy is fearless. That's a fearless dude walking around.
God,
he says,
"Oh, like Ryan Day going after poor old Miss." Lou Holtz. I mean, I don't know why I said Old Miss.
That bar's probably right next to his house. He probably wasn't even thinking about y'all.
I hope he got a parking ticket. Florida State versus Clemson, 31-24. Dude, man, this game was wrecked. It was really fun to watch. It was back and forth, seesaw-ish. You really started to see Cade Klubnik start to cook. That the Clemson offense started to have a little bit of life, and it's like, wow, they can actually do some things. They can actually put together some stuff. Eventually, towards the later part of this game, it became very apparent, they only have running backs and tight ends to throw to. None of those receivers on the outside are getting open. But they did create some splash plays. They played a really complete football game. What I got from this, Sean, I'm not going to gang up on Clemson anymore. It is what it is. They're still a really good football team. Their secondary is really good. Their defensive line is really good.
Yeah.
They just don't have any receivers that they can win these close games when they need a play when it counts. To throw a jump ball to a Keon Coleman like Florida State did.
Yeah.
That's the irony of the whole situation. But my whole thing, and I think some people are trying to use this as a way to say, Florida State showed signs of weakness. I disagree. I think Florida State showed up against a really good opponent on the road. They were down.
Their ass off. Clemson was playing their ass off.
They were down. They climbed back into it. And the guys that they brought in the portal made plays when it was needed. Keon Coleman, that was an awesome touchdown reception. He completely dunked on that corner. I don't know which corner it was for Clemson on that touchdown reception he had. And it was a long day for those guys. They were not getting any separation. Yeah. Those one-on-one balls were not there at all. So, look, I'm still in on Florida State. I loved what I saw from them.
A couple things from this game. The Cade Klubnik is going to be a problem because in the third quarter, he took a massive shot and he had a great completion. And I'm like sitting here like, he got crushed. He got up laughing. I saw him laughing on maybe a roughing the passer, like a hard one. And he got crushed a couple times. I'm like, this dude, this is a tough guy at quarterback. I think he will be a problem next season. He could be a problem for the rest of this season. This was his game. This was a game where I said, Cade Klubnik he is settled in. Welcome to the show. Additionally, I tweeted this out after that Keon Coleman touchdown catch. There's a lot of stuff I don't agree with college football and, a little bit of the portal, a little bit of NIL, a little bit of, the realignment stuff. I don't think they do a lot of things right. And I think they're trying to make it look like a professional franchise, a sports league with the mega conferences. Okay. All right. It's still a great product. And while we're in this nebulous right now, there should be an award for best offseason. There should be, because Florida State should win it for improvement along the entire roster. Keon Coleman should get the award for best transfer addition, best transfer portal addition. He has been impactful every single game.
I was thinking about that the other day. I think at the end of the season, we should do like a superlatives best transfer portal edition, most overhyped, most underhyped team, like that kind of thing. Instead of doing the, offensive coordinator of the year, offensive lineman of the year. Like let's say we should totally do that. I think we should do a live show.
There should be one. I would love to do it because it's close. And the transfer portal is helping the sport. Parity is better than it's ever been. Notre Dame finally has a quarterback for the first time in 20 years that can actually march down the field and might be able to play at the next level. They haven't had anybody. It's been a poverty program at quarterback. They have been. What am I talking about? Oh, yeah, the Florida State. Yes. Impressive. Their transfer portal haul, impressive. Keon Coleman is a dude, and I didn't even think the Florida State quarterback had a good day. I did not think
he struggled.
He struggled. And he said, here's what's working. I'm going to throw it up to 6'11", and I'm going to throw it up to 6'4". And we're just going to see what happens. And, they made it down the field. And they scored some points. Way to adjust.
By the way, shout out to Ron Lowry, who's just having a day in the comments right now. LFG comments, Ron, you have so many comments, I can't get to all of them. But LFG says, what hideous USC first half for Arizona State was bad for real. Yeah, I kind of tuned that game out, and then I was kind of like looking at it, and like the late games, I wasn't paying attention to them. And then I like saw the ESPN app, and I'm like, wait a minute, this game is weirdly close. I don't take any stock in that because it did look like shit. I don't disagree with that. But at the same time, like, you can't lay an egg. Come on, put up a little more fight. This is my thing with USC, by the way, and why.
Okay, so I guess we're just getting right into Sean's first thought from the weekend.
What was your first thought?
My first thought.
All right, two thoughts from the weekend, and then we got a couple things we want to hit. So go ahead for your first thought of the weekend.
My first thought of the weekend. We'll just jump right into it. Is USC bad? That's my first thought of the weekend. Because that game should never be that close. And Arizona State's Kenny Dillingham lost his mind in a press conference this weekend talking about we play to win the games, looked like a crazy person. Somehow that translated onto the field, and it was a one-score game way later than it should have been. Way later. So now I'm sitting here, is USC bad, Joe? Maybe they're bad.
They're not bad, but Joe, what's very apparent to me, they show up when they feel like it, which I don't like. Which means to me that there's gonna be one game that they lose down. Like they're gonna show up against Notre Dame, they're gonna show up against Oregon, they're gonna show up for every important game that they have on the schedule. But they're not gonna show up for like one game, and they're gonna poop their pants and they're gonna lose. It's the Tulane thing all over again. That's a game that you're supposed to win. You don't show up, and it's a decent opponent, and they come to fight, and then you lose.
Joe, can I just read off a couple things for you real quick? Let me
know
if they're bad or not. Arizona State got blanked 29-0 to Fresno last week. They lost to Oklahoma State by 12 points. They only beat Southern Utah by 3 points, and they lose to USC by 14.
Florida
USC might be mid. Not bad. They might be mid.
Arizona State. I'm actually shocked that you're the one who's saying this. I'm defending USC. Arizona State has had some quarterback injuries, so they've been like third guy on the depth chart type injuries fourth guy in the depth chart type injuries that they've been dealing with. So I give both teams a little bit of a pass here. Look, Colorado versus USC is going to be very telling. Like Colorado's a much better opponent than Arizona State. Do you show up and say, I'm going to beat the hell out of a team that we're better than? Or do you say, oh, they got their asses kicked by Oregon, I'm not going to do anything.
Joe, USC had
cakewalk through it.
USC, I think, had 8 sacks, and they still only won by 14 points. They might be mid.
Not okay. We don't need to
I'm not being hot takey right now either. I'm
I
genuine.
know, I'm not saying you are. I just don't. Not to stick too much on this point.
I gotcha.
I have to call out Rutgers 4-0 against the spread. My boys plus 25 sneaking in with the 24-point loss. You shut your goddamn mouth.
Where's your
Rutgers,
hat? Where's your shirt?
I have a Rutgers shirt. You want me to go put it on?
Go put on your Rutgers shirt. Go ahead.
My ass is so stuck to this chair right now. I don't want to get up. My apartment is very hot. I can't run the air conditioning when I do the show because the air conditioning is right next to my microphone. Mm-hmm. Stop cutting off my point. Rutgers continues to cover, and I'm going to continue to bet them. They're playing Wagner this upcoming week, and I am just.
What's the spread? 15?
If it is, I'm taking it. I am taking that shit. Give me Rutgers is the best kept public secret in sports betting. Everybody gets it. My second one before you get to your second one, I want to talk about here. I have reached a new level of hater. I feel like over the first month of the season, I've gotten a lot more exposure than I have in the past. And a lot of people, have been upset with my takes. I've been called a hater by everybody. I never would have thought that it would have reached the mascot of Georgia Southern. I called the Georgia Southern mascot an abomination because of the way that he looked. And he responded to me. And he was pissed. He has gone as far to say that he will come on the podcast. We are currently coordinating getting him to come on the podcast. But I just have to say that was the most unexpected thing. That was nothing that I had on my checklist of the Saturday, is that the Georgia Southern Eagle,
arguing with Tyler Cruz. You're arguing with Tyler Cruz right now, and you don't know what's going on.
You're saying that Gus the Eagle is equivalent to Tyler Cruz? Is that what you're saying?
You know what? Look, I shouldn't say that. Cruz he's doing good. He's doing good. But I do like seeing you argue with stupid big-headed birds on Twitter. It did entertain me. One of your tweets, I got like, look at what's Joe doing over here. It drew some attention for me. Let's see what happens with Gus. It's Hack City for a reason, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah, we're trying to he's pissed. He's coming for us, so we're gonna see what if he ends up coming on this week. Here's your last one.
Yeah, the least hack thing I could say. Washington, the University of Washington, is a juggernaut. This offense has me concerned about my beard. It has me very concerned because Michael Penix Jr. is just a beast in the pocket. Finesse, power, command, movement, everything. Washington is scary. This is a legitimate team through week 4. I know we got another 4 weeks before we even really start having the conversation, like the real one. Right now, juggernaut.
By the way, I'm really glad that you brought this up because I wanted to get an update on the beard bet. I am now really regretting agreeing to do this because now I'm thrown into a really difficult situation because I've got the beard. It's kind of stayed in check. It's actually growing out the best that it's ever grown in.
Yeah,
it's
it doesn't look terrible.
I think it's going to connect here, which is a first that's never happened. And I just need it a little bit better on the sides, a little bit more. It doesn't look terrible, but I still look ratty. I still look unkept. I do not look good. So my girlfriend's mom and sister in a week, 2 weeks, when this is going to be at full gross, full just nastiness, are in town. And so my girlfriend's like, oh, they want to know if you want to come to dinner. And I it didn't dawn on me. And I was like, yeah, I'll come. I'm going to be looking so I'm already the dipshit boyfriend who
forehead, the glasses.
All right. Okay. That's not what I was getting at. I'm already the meathead boyfriend who works in sports media and play college football.
They can't talk. The eyes.
Yeah. I'm sure that it is going to be really reflective of my personality and just of me as an individual showing up in the physical state that I'm going to look.
Yours actually on camera doesn't look terrible. This is getting too long. The bottom of my chin is getting too long. My neck is a disaster. And then this right here, that area where it's actually going above, like where normal people get like a beard trim.
Yeah,
that's hideous. Like this right there.
I'm glad that you trimmed your neck like I did too. It's very clear.
I didn't trim my neck. I didn't.
You trimmed your neck. No,
I
it
didn't.
Looks like you did.
No, I didn't.
Well, you're lucky. You're lucky. Mine comes in really bad on my neck.
Look at that.
Oh no,
it's all up under my neck. It's all up on my neck.
You look like shit.
Yeah, I know. I know that.
You look like shit.
What are you talking? You trimmed your neck?
A little bit. I had
to. Give me another point. Give me another point give me his point on the spread then.
Fine. I'll give you a couple points on the spread. What do you want? How many points do you want? You want 1 point on the spread?
Give me Oregon 3. You still have to do Washington money line.
Deal.
If you trimmed but that doesn't mean you get to trim it again. You can't trim your neck again.
I'm trimming it before the dinner.
No.
I'm trimming it before the dinner.
No.
All right. Do we wrap or do you want to get to any of the other stupid shit that I wrote down?
I mean, how do we not get to the guys?
Oh, okay. Wait. So I wish I had the.
We just have to talk about this.
Wait, before we get to that, I want to pull up the picture and so I can throw it up on the screen. I want to share for a couple minutes. I had a really funny idea and I want to throw this out to you. So, Sean, you and I have expressed to you, you're the only person that really talked about this. I live in Los Angeles right now. I used to have to commute to an office, no longer have to do that. So I've been, debating the idea of moving back to the East Coast. And, with that, it's a far move to move back to the East Coast. Probably would do it in June when my lease ends. So I thought of this idea the other day, that when I have to move, when I've decided officially if I'm going to do this or not, I think it'd be really funny, Sean, if I don't, you'd be the only one who knows. If I don't tell anyone on the East Coast that I'm moving back to New Jersey. So I don't tell my parents and I don't tell any of my friends. And I just move to an apartment and I see how long it takes for them to figure it out. I think that could be a good big, and I think it's a good exercise that I don't know what your parents are like. I'm sure they helped you move the first time. I know that my dad is going to be like, oh, if you're moving back, I'm going to, come help you pack your stuff up. It could be a nice test to see if I can accomplish it. But at the same time, I think it'd be a really funny bit if one day I'm just like, hey, what time's dinner? And I just show up. I think that could end very poorly or very positively.
I think you could have your feelings hurt.
Why?
Pals. I think because you haven't been checked in on. I think that would be humbling.
I'm not worried about my friends. They'd just be like, oh, that's cool. You moved back. I don't think anyone would care. It's more so to fuck with my family.
Here's my dad helped me move in the sense of we went and we built a TV stand together. And then, that we carried that inside and we carried the TV inside and then we got that done. But everything else in this room was all me. But I had the opportunity to just drive it 30 minutes up the road. But
that was your first move in though. So you didn't have a bunch of shit that you had to pack up and I've had to actually move, pack up all my stuff, unpack all of it. That stuff sucks.
Yeah, that's what moving is. I had bags and bags and bags and bags. I was driving with my carpet in my car, but
I don't really have
furniture
enough though. You don't really have furniture because you said some of that stuff was already there.
Yeah, that's true. I also am still living under you shouldn't have, right now, I shouldn't have more stuff where I couldn't move what I needed to with my car. And I don't think I do. I think I would be able to, if I needed to move this week, I wouldn't need to rent a truck. I think I'd be fine.
It annoys me. That kind of annoys me. But okay, all right, back to your thoughts though on this really stupid idea that I have.
Your dad would probably, knowing your dad, he'd probably fight you.
I think he'd get really mad. I think he wouldn't talk to me for a week.
He would get really mad because I don't think it's an inclusion thing. Why didn't you include me on it? I think it's, if I'm from your dad's, I'm your dad right now. Joe, what, you thought you could do that by yourself? What?
Okay.
Why would you think that? Why would you not have me help you? I can help you. What'd you do? What apartment did you get? What location? Where are you? Do you have cable? Do you have internet? What's the heat situation?
Okay, I don't think he thinks I'm that stupid. I don't think
I do.
He doesn't. I know that he doesn't.
I think you're that stupid.
I think that if he got mad at me, it would just be purely off of the how could you not
just
tell
said
me
on
that
this
you made
show?
Yeah.
You just said you couldn't get up from your chair because your apartment's too hot.
It's because the air conditioning unit is right next to my microphone where I'm set up. I can't move this setup to another part of my apartment. I can't. I've thought about it. I can't. There's nowhere to move it to. This is an old building. It was built in the 70s. The air conditioning unit is right here. Unless you want to hear brrr the whole time. As somebody who appreciates good audio, I didn't want to do that to our listeners. So that's why my ass is so sweaty right now. It's 75 degrees out. Okay?
Why am I getting yelled at now? Why am I? You asked my opinion. You asked my thought.
My point is I think that my dad's reaction though would probably be,
are you ready to fight your dad? Are you ready to fight him?
I don't think
because I know I'm not. I'm still not ready to. I still know I'm not ready to fight my dad. I don't want any of that business. I want none of that. I think it's still about the closest fight it'd ever be. But I still want none of that. So are you ready? That's the question I have for you.
I don't think it'd be a physical altercation. I just think he would get really pissed at me.
Oh, okay, sure. You never think it is till it is.
Last bit here. We saw this on Twitter. Awkwardly just throwing this up on top of us. We saw this on Twitter. So there was this post from this guy was like, in my neighborhood, I have to appreciate the college kids living across the street that have a picture of their house on a flag hanging on the outside of their house. And I got to say, Sean, that's one of the best bits the best dude bit I've ever seen. That is one of the coolest things that I have ever seen. I have never aspired to copy something more than that. I don't live in a house right now, so I can't really do it. But if I had a ratty piece of shit house outside of a college campus, you could bet your ass I would do the same goddamn thing. That is awesome.
Yeah, that was from at B-Town Moose on Twitter.
Yeah.
There's a house on my street with some cool college dudes living in it. I know they're cool because they have a flag on the house and just a picture of their house. They're clearly fond of living there. Yeah, that's that's a baller ass move to say this house rules and we rule, so we're gonna celebrate it on our porch where we get hammered. Oh, that kicks ass. And then the picture of the house is just destroyed. There's a beer night table out front getting held up with obviously stolen garbage cans. They didn't even buy the legs for the table. They just said these will work. The worst chairs you've ever seen. The worst grill you've ever seen. This house is awful, and they decided this house rules. Look at this. This is the worst.
I appreciate the core
stinks.
The open core power that's left there. I want to know what those jugs, and then there's the natural light case, which is just a must-have.
Perfect
for any 20-something. And then I like the one plant that they said, you know what? We need a plant.
Really high on the porch.
Yeah, we guys, we need to show some class here. We need a plant. And then what are these lights? What are these lights?
She wants some ambiance. Let's get the most dead plant you've ever seen, and have the lowest hanging lights possible.
It's not even only those dead planets. Let's see if we can find the most sad-looking plant that's just not going to accomplish anything.
They got that plant in dipspit right now. They think that they can still grow within that.
God, that's so damn funny. All right, I think it's good to wrap us up on.
Yeah,
at Joe DeLeone at Sanderson Radio. We'll be back. Thanks for everyone who tuned in.